Will you tell us a bit about your mission and why you loved being a missionary?
Yeah, so I served in the Michigan Detroit mission, which also encompassed parts of Ohio. And I, goodness, I don't even know how to explain why I loved it. It just was so incredible. I think part of the reason that missionaries grow to love their mission so much is because it's so hard. Don't let me sugarcoat it for you. It is so hard. But there's something so fulfilling about doing difficult things and overcoming them, especially with the help of Jesus Christ. And so I think that I just met so many amazing people that really took me out of my comfort zone. And whether these were people that I served with, other missionaries, or people that I had the opportunity to teach or learn with. And I just grew so much love for these people. That's definitely a blessing of serving a mission, is you come to love the people in your area so much, even people you've never met. And I think that really plays a big role in why I love my mission. I love Michigan and Ohio as a place, but it's the people there that really have my heart.
I remember hearing so many missionaries talk about how much they love the people. And I mean, I'm sure they love their friends too, but it almost sounds like there's this other kind of love that comes in that has to be from God. Like, can you say any more about that feeling?
Yeah, I would agree that you grow up and you love your friends, you love your family, but when you are so selflessly serving people all the time, that is just a different kind of love. I think it's just a tiny portion of the love that Jesus Christ probably felt for us as he died for us. I didn't die for anyone, obviously, but I I served them and I helped them in times that they were low, and that just helps you feel so close to them and so close to God.
That is so many warm fuzzies all at once. um, what would you say to the young people who may have grown up in the church? You know, they know about the possibility of going on a mission that exists. It makes, in my mind, more sense to start praying about it as soon as you hear about the possibility, and then throughout your time up until you could serve one. Can you talk about that, versus like waiting until you're 18 or something to say your first prayer about it? Like, how could they begin praying about it early on?
I think, you grow up going to church and you sing the song, I hope they call me on a mission, and you're excited about it as a kid. But I think as a teenager, it becomes a little more daunting. At least it did for me. And it really took the example of my friends and my family to help me. And then as I prayed about it for myself, I just felt so overwhelmed and knew that that was what was going to be right for me. Um, so I think the earlier you start praying about it, the better off you'll be, because when you decide to serve a mission, temptation really starts to creep in, and the adversary really, he knows you're going to be such an awesome tool for the Lord. And so he puts all these things in your head that's like, oh, I wouldn't be good enough for that, or I don't want to waste a year and a half of my life doing that. But it's not true. That's just his goal to deter you. And so the earlier on that you know in your head, I'm going to serve a mission, I think the better off you'll be. Not that you can't be a great missionary if you decide right before, but yeah.
Kind of helps to prepare and have those goals. I mean, even the military, last I knew, they have people set, 20-year goals, 10-year goals, 5-year goals, and always have yourself thinking way in advance, not just what am I going to eat tomorrow for lunch, keeping
Yeah.
things in mind. And, I wonder if certain people believe that, oh my gosh, the only way to be a missionary is if you're completely sure that you definitely want to do it and you'll be awesome and you've, been prepared and all that. But there must be people who go that they show up, but they're not nearly as confident. They're not as sure. Like, what happens to them?
I think that that's a really common misconception, because I don't think I ever met a single missionary that did feel very confident like that. I think everybody gets out there and your weaknesses are very apparent, and you realize, oh my goodness, I cannot do this on my own. But we can't do it on our own. There's no way. But Heavenly Father really loves and supports his missionaries. And I also think that there's a lot of reasons that you can decide to serve a mission, whether it's because your family wants you to, or you have friends doing it, or you just feel like you should, or you grew up knowing that you wanted to. Whatever the reason is, doesn't really matter as long as it gets you out there. Just go, just get out there. But there's really only one reason that you stay on a mission, and that's because you love Jesus Christ and you love serving his children. And I think I really came to realize that no judgment on anyone that chooses to go on a mission for any reason, because every missionary that stays out there is there because they love Jesus Christ.
I had to pause to remember that quote. I don't remember exactly, but basically a large percentage of life is just showing up. And I think that when you show up, then the rest kind of often falls into place. I was also wondering, what would you say are temporal benefits that come from being a missionary that, are easy to overlook when the focus is so spiritual?
So many temporal benefits. I think that it helped me to be on a better schedule, going to bed early and getting up early. I do not like doing that, but it was really good for me. And it also really taught me how to take care of myself physically as well as mentally. You can't really rely on your parents, you're far away from them. And that was really, really difficult for me for a long time. And so I had to learn how to take care of my own mental health and do what was going to be best for me, and trust that the Lord was going to help me. And as well as other just work skills, learning a great work ethic that I think I'll be able to use in my career forever, was super beneficial to me.
And then, of course, there are spiritual benefits, but can you say what you've experienced with that?
My conversion to Jesus Christ, my testimony in him has deepened more than I can even say. I just came so much closer to him than in anything else I've done. And not to say that you can't have that kind of spiritual conversion without serving a mission. You definitely can. But for me, that study every single day, prayer so much of the day, doing those things all the time, just thinking about Jesus all day, every day, that brought me so much closer to him in ways that I didn't even realize that I needed at the time.
I almost think some people might think of, gosh, all that studying is such a burden and such, maybe it's boring or something, but at what other time in your life are you given the opportunity to have that time where you get to study and you get to develop so much in that area of life?
Yeah, and we would talk about that a lot. That was really the only time in our life that we'll ever have nothing else to focus on besides just the gospel. Because at every other point in your life, you have school or work or children or whatever it may be. But at that time, it was just focused on serving others, and that was so cool.
And a lot of missionaries, you'll see them on bikes or walking around. So you might think, okay, well, you have to have a certain physical fitness level, et cetera, to be a missionary. What other options are there?
Yeah, there's a lot of missionaries that maybe aren't able to keep up with the rigorous schedule or the physical activity that comes with missionary life. And that's totally okay. There's another really cool option of serving a service mission, which is where you can still live at home with your family and you're still a full-time missionary, but you go and serve maybe in food banks or in temples near you, or other opportunities to give back to others or teach others. And you still get to live that missionary life, but maybe to a less physically or mentally exhausting scale, whatever is best for you. And that is just as amazing as serving a proselyting mission.
I got to talk to someone who I think served at Ensign Ranch. And then I've heard of people at the Family History Center getting to serve there. And like, even in a wheelchair is not going to stop them. If they can type, they could, index things.
Right.
Can you say anything about what happens at the Family History Center, why that's relevant?
That's so important because when we do family history, it opens up a lot of doors for us to be able to do more work in the temples, which just brings more blessings into everyone's life. So I think family history is so underrated.
And what can people do? Like, let's say they've got relatives who are, clearly doing tons of genealogy. What are these other things? Like, I've heard of indexing and other things that people can do to contribute.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Even if you feel like your family history is all done, indexing is where you look at an old historical record and you type up, this name in cursive, and then here's the name in print. And so it makes it so that they can use these records to be able to find more people, connect more families, and get more temple work done, ideally.
And don't they also put in like any possible other option? It could be like if they can't tell what a letter is, like they all the possible spellings it might be.
Yeah, yep. It's really cool how it works.
I've seen that on some, records when you pull it up on like ancestry.com or something where, you could put in 5 different spellings and all these the same person because the other information matches up, and someone has put in that information that either because of the cursive, you can't tell what letter it is, or maybe that name is spelled different ways, possibly that kind of thing. And I think from what I recall hearing, the census taker, they just write it down how they heard it. They may not even ask for the spelling. And that's why you'll get discrepancies on age between different census
Interesting.
rounds and that kind of thing.
Cool.
So any final words of encouragement for those who might at some point have a mission, or just things to keep in mind?
Yeah, I think that I would say that it's so important to pray and find out what Heavenly Father's plan is for you. Because whether or not you serve a mission, a proselyting mission, a service mission, or no mission at all, the Lord loves you and He wants you in His church. And maybe a mission isn't for you at this time, and that's okay. He still needs you. He needs you. And I think I would just say that whatever you do, remember that Jesus Christ loves you and that He wants you and He wants you to come unto Him. And if you do that, you'll always find happiness.
Wonderful. Well, I thank you so much for sharing all this. I hope everyone listening gets to feel greatly encouraged and always remembers to pray.